Hi, everyone. So welcome to Parent University, the road to college. I'm so excited to start this journey with each and every one of you. If you have any questions, please stop me at any point in time in our presentation, and I will answer your questions. Like I said, please have a notebook and a piece of paper ready because there will be a lot of information. And at the very end, I will be emailing you the links to all of the information that we've discussed. The agenda for today, we're going to be talking about the college search, testing, applications, financial aid, the cost of attendance, deposits, and then hello, college student. A little bit about me. I am Ms. Hilson, the founding school counselor. We no longer use the term guidance counselor anymore because school counselors do way more than just make schedules and check on grades and make sure you graduated. It's more than just that. So we're now referred to as school counselors. I am 100% a Jersey girl. I graduated from University High School in Newark, Rowan University in Glassboro, Rutgers University, Newark, in Newark, New Jersey. I currently attend Seton Hall University. I am a financial aid certified counselor. And then I've also been working in college and career readiness for the past 4 years. So let's talk about this college search. College is like finding the perfect vacation. It has to have every component just right for you. And so when we think about college and college fit, that includes majors, the social setting, the academic setting, financial outcomes, and location. Oftentimes, I find that parents will have one set college fit for their child, and then the child will have a fit for themselves. And so my recommendation is for you to write down your own fit in a different room where you can't see each other, answers are not influenced, and then you come back into the same space and actually talk through what does it look like? What does your child want and what do you want? Oftentimes, parents typically say, it doesn't matter what they want, I'm paying for it. But you do not want to pay for an experience that your child is unhappy with because ultimately they won't do well, they won't thrive in the space, and they won't be productive. And then I think that will hurt more in the long run. So let's talk about what each component of college fit means. There's the location portion. So where does your child want to go to school? Is it an urban area like Patterson in New York City? Is it a suburban area like Wayne? So we're thinking about William Patterson. Or is it a very rural country setting, kind of like Newton, New Jersey, out in the sticks, out in the middle of nature, where there's nothing really around? So if you think about it, we can talk about maybe a Lincoln University would be a rural location. Next would be the social setting. So how large of a school does your child want to attend? Is it a small school with less than 5,000 students, kind of like a Rutgers Camden, or maybe a medium school like a Rutgers Newark, or a very large school like a Rutgers New Brunswick? I love to describe it as, do you want to be a big fish in a small pond, or do you want to be a small fish in a big pond? Everyone thrives in different atmospheres and different settings. So you have to be really honest and know which setting will be best for your student. Next is the major. Does the school actually have the major that your child wants to do? Oftentimes I hear people say, oh, I want to do culinary, so I'm going to go to Rutgers. Rutgers doesn't have a culinary arts program, but Hudson Community County does, and it's nationally awarded program. So it would be best for you to go to like a Hudson Community College versus going to a Rutgers University, Newark, or New Brunswick, or Camden. Financial. How much is tuition? How much do you actually want to pay for school? Do we want to go the free route and then transfer to a four-year institution? Or are we okay with having big ticket priced tuition and being okay with coming out of pocket and having loans. We also need to consider, too, the transportation. How are we going to transport to and from? Is it a school where you have to purchase a plane ticket? Does this mean that every time you fly or the child wants to come home, now you have to book a flight? What does that look like? How will they get back and forth to the airport? All of these different components are things that you should think about when thinking about the school that best fits you as a family. Outcomes. We have to think about what are the graduation outcomes for these universities. So, for example, if you ever look up this information, you'll be able to see that when they talk about 4 years, they're literally talking about the freshman class that came in, how many of them actually stayed and graduated from that university. If the percentage is low, there may be some reasons as to why students are not graduating. Oftentimes they will do a 4-year mark or a 6-year. I know we typically think college is only a 4-year institution, but it's very common for students to remain 5 years sometimes, or even 6. Certain programs, certain platforms will allow you to see the salary after graduation. So that's something else that you may want to look at. You're investing all of this money. How much money will your child make when they leave the school? Last but not least are academics. What is the acceptance rate? The higher the rate, that means the more students they accept. The lower the rate means the less amount of students they accept. So for example, a Princeton University only accepts 6% of the applicants who apply. Whereas William Patterson's percentage, I believe, is in the 80s. So if we know that there's a school like Princeton who only accepts 6% of the students who apply, this lets us know that our application package needs to be a lot more competitive compared to the other scholars so that we stand out amongst the rest. There are different types of colleges. There's public versus private, community versus a 4-year institution, and then a historically Black college and university versus a Hispanic serving university. So a public institution means that it's funded by the government, and oftentimes they have different prices based on the location of the student. So for example, in-state students will receive a lower price for tuition than out-of-state students. Whereas for a private university, like a Bloomfield, a Seton Hall, or a Princeton, it's funded by private donors and individuals. Therefore, it's oftentimes the same exact price, whether you're in-state or out-of-state. So a private university may work for you if going out of the state is one of the options that you have. Whereas if you want some cheaper tuition, it may be more beneficial to do in-state. Community college versus a 4-year institution. Community colleges, they are free, but they are only free if you attend a community college within your county. The only way you will receive free tuition for an out-of-county school is if the out-of-county school has a major that your in-county school does not have. That's how you're able to receive free tuition for the community colleges. Also, for 4-year institutions, this is where you obtain a bachelor's degree. Community colleges have certifications and associate degrees. 4-year institutions have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and sometimes PhD programs. Historically, Black colleges and universities were created to support Black students here in America. Unfortunately, we do not have one here in New Jersey, but the closest will probably be Lincoln University or Dale State. And then they also have Hispanic serving institutions, which means that the college has 25% of Hispanics enrolled full-time. William Patterson is a Hispanic serving institution. Any questions so far? Okay.
Got it.
Okay, awesome. College visits. They're in this virtual world. You can visit a college virtually. I know it's kind of boring, but they do their best to make sure it's as realistic as possible. But the good thing is by the time our babies get to senior year, colleges should be open back up and we will be able to visit on campus. So I recommend for students to visit on campus. If they do go to an on-campus visit with you during a school day, they can receive an excused absence. They just have to bring in proof that they went to visit the college. Visiting online, visiting on campus actually provides a lot of benefits when it comes to the application process. Oftentimes schools will say, hey, if you visited us online, you can get an application fee waived. So it helps to also get a feel of the campus and see like, yeah, I could walk around here. I could walk on campus every day. When my mom and I went to visit my undergrad at Rowan, we went down and it was very country from being up here in Newark, New Jersey, and in the city life. And there were cows, horses. I wasn't sure how I was going to make it, but I survived. So it's very important to visit the campus to see, you know, how far away is the train station? How far away are these is fast food and options for them? So it's important to visit on campus. All right, this is the participation portion of the activity. High school connection to the majors. So this particular student in the scenario wants to become a doctor, right? Can anyone tell me what major in college should they have if they want to become a doctor? Anyone? If they want to become a doctor, what major do you think that they should have? Okay, so oftentimes people believe that students should have pre-med, biology, those types of majors, but actually they don't really need to major in pre-med or biology. They can actually just major in anything that they want. They really just need to take these particular classes in order to participate and to be able to apply to medical school and be considered a strong applicant. So that is one misconception that happens. So as long as a student takes these generic courses, they can major in anything that they want in college. Also for my engineers and students, this is also another high school connection to majors, right? Some oftentimes will say for engineers, they need to take AP chemistry, they need to take AP bio, they need to take all the AP classes in the world. But actually, sometimes depending on the school, they don't have to take AP because the schools may not even accept their AP credits for biology or chemistry, depending on the school and the program. So for my engineering majors, sometimes it may be best for them to just do an AP class in the humanities, in English or history. Why? Because schools oftentimes want all of their freshmen to start off brand new, taking their courses in biology and chemistry and physics. So even if they take the class, the AP class, and they pass, the school may not even accept it. So it's very important to look at the college fit, see what colleges fit your student, and then see if they even accept AP classes. All right, we're gonna go into testing right now. So for testing, there's the PSAT, the ACT, and the SAT. The PSAT is what the scholars just recently took. There is no right or wrong answer. There is no, oh, you failed component. It just showed us what they were learning and if they're on track to pass and how would they pass the SAT. One good thing about the PSAT for next school year is that when they check yes on the student search service question, they're able to get connected to 1,500 colleges, and they're able to be connected to over $300 million in scholarships. Now that's when it really counts, because schools will see their scores, and based on their scores, they will either send them scholarships. This is how students are able to be eligible for the National Merit Scholarship Program. So it just depends on how well they do. For the PSAT, there is a platform called Khan Academy. It's a resource that I am providing at the end of this presentation. And Khan Academy allows students to sign up, create an account, and based on their PSAT scores, Khan Academy has an algorithm that will help them improve the questions that they made a mistake on, so that when it's time for them to take the SAT, their scores will be a lot higher than they were in the PSAT. For the SAT, it includes reading, writing, and language tests and math. It measures not only what students learn in high school, but what they need to know to succeed in college. Whereas the ACT is only 5 minutes shorter, but it includes a science section in the ACT. And the biggest difference between SAT and ACT, the ACT only measures what students should have learned in high school, whereas the SAT has that other component about what they need to know in college. Everyone has a different preference for testing. It depends on you and what you prefer for your scholar. You can take the SAT with them or they can take the ACT. Either one, it doesn't matter. It's perfectly okay. Advanced placement classes. Most US colleges offer credits or will accept an advanced placement credit from a high school. At College Achieve, we offer AP classes starting their junior year, and different colleges accept different scores. For example, some colleges may accept the score of a 3. Other colleges may only accept scores of 4s and 5s. It just depends on the school and what they will accept and how many credits they will also take. Any questions before we move to applications? Okay. Applications. There are different types of application portals. There's the Common App, there's the Coalition App, and there is the school website. The Common App is the traditional common application where students fill out all their information and then they select certain colleges that they want to apply to. Those colleges will have supplementary questions that need to be answered, and then students are able to answer the supplementary questions that way. The same idea is for the Common App for the HBCUs. Centralized application, select the HBCU you want to apply to, and you can send off the application that way. The Coalition application, same concept. However, different colleges are on this platform. So for the Coalition App, this is where your top tier colleges and universities are located. So Duke University, Rutgers University, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, all of those schools are on the Coalition App. They're not on the Common application. So My Coalition is actually a free online college planning tool through the Coalition App that helps students and families to start early to create a plan for college. If you like, the link to the My Coalition is going to be emailed to you, so you can reach out to them and start planning. They do recommend for 9th graders to start planning, so now is the time. Last but not least is the school website. Personal recommendation, sometimes the school website is a lot faster to fill out information than the Common App. However, with the Common App and Coalition App, you only have to memorize one username and password, whereas with the school websites, you may have multiple usernames and passwords. There are different application types. There's early decision, early action, regular admissions, and then rolling admissions. Early decision is a binding contract. This is saying, I want to go to this school. I don't care how much money you're giving me, which may not be a lot. I don't care about what happens. I don't care if I have to sleep in my car. I want to go to this school. This is the school I want to go to. There's no other school. This is it. If a student were to try to break the contract, there could be legal ramifications. towards not attending the school because it was a legal binding contract. So this is why we recommend, if you do want to apply early to a school that you really like, there's early action. Early action is non-binding, which means you are going to apply to the school by November 1st. And once you apply to the school, they give you, you receive a notification very quickly. Oftentimes you will receive it before winter break is over for the most part. And but you don't have to commit to the school until May 1st. The earlier you apply, the more scholarships you qualify for, the more money you may possibly receive. Regular admissions means it's just the normal regular process, where oftentimes their deadline may be February or January 1st. It's always highly recommended that students apply to these schools no later than December 1st, December 15th, depending on the school. Why? Once again, scholarships. Oftentimes there's scholarship deadline for particular programs, and that deadline application is December 15th. So it's highly recommended to do these applications by December 15th of their senior year. They will receive an acceptance or rejection or wait list or any type of answer by April 1st. And then they have up until May 1st to make a decision. Rolling admissions means that there's no set deadline for a particular program or school. They can apply at any time. There's no penalty for them. But once again, keeping in mind, the students who applied early are the ones who are going to receive more money. The students who apply late are the ones that won't receive as much money. I oftentimes hear parents say, oh, we're going to start applying for colleges junior year. Unfortunately, you cannot. Applications open up in September of their senior year. So you can only start applying to colleges in September of your child's senior year. Different application components. There's the personal statement, the transcript, recommendations, and fees. The personal statement is the essay that students are able to write. So in the links that I have given you, there are essay prompts through the Common Application. So you can look at them and see what types of questions they ask scholars. And I know for a fact that almost everyone in 2024 can use COVID as a means of a hardship and what happened to them is something that they've overcome. But think about it, every freshman in the nation has been impacted by COVID. So what makes our scholars stand out? This is where reading books come in, because they're able to pull from different literature and talk about something new and fresh and different versus the same thing that every other scholar across the nation may talk about, which is COVID impacting their grades, COVID impacting their life. Our job is to make sure that they have the most competitive application. And so really pushing them to think beyond COVID and to encourage them to write more about themselves. The transcript. When they apply to college in September of their senior year, they are going to use the grades that they received, their final grades that they've earned from freshman, sophomore, and junior year. Some colleges may ask, what are your current classes that you're taking? Depending on whether or not or how they need to make their decision, they may ask the counselor for the first report card, but it is based off of the GPA that they've earned at the end of their junior year. That's the GPA that they will use when they apply to scholarships, when they apply to the schools, because that is their GPA at that time. And that's how it makes a lot of decisions. For recommendation letters, students love to ask teachers of the arts to write their recommendation letters because they've done better in those classes. But I highly recommend that you get a teacher in a core academic class, your math, your English, your science. Why? Because those teachers' recommendation letters hold a lot of weight because those are your core classes. Something I didn't mention for transcripts too in the first session, which is depending on the major, depends on how colleges look at your grades. So for my engineering majors, Colleges aren't going to look at Spanish, art, music. They're going to look at what were their grades in math and science. That's how they determine whether or not you would be a good fit for their program. So keep that in mind as well. Last but not least are the fees. All colleges apply a fee to submit the application. There are different ways to get around the fee. You can call and tell them you're having a hardship. You can attend a college fair. You can attend on-site admissions. You can attend an on-campus visit. So there are a lot of different ways to avoid having to pay the application fee. So when it's time, just keep that in mind, or even just call the admissions office and say, hey, how can I avoid the application fee? Because I just don't have it at this time. Some applications can range from $35. Other fees can go up to about $100. So if there is any way that you can avoid paying some of this money, I highly recommend it. Financial aid, before we get into the money, any questions? Okay, let's go. Financial aid. Thanks. Financial aid. Oftentimes I hear students tell me, Ms. Wilson, I don't have to do that. I'm getting financial aid. Not realizing that financial aid comprises of grants, scholarships, loans, and work study. What work study is, the government provides them with a stipend for them to work on campus. And do not be like me. The one time that you do not use your work study money, the government will not offer it to you again. So my little feelings were hurt the 1 year I stopped using it, and then I didn't get it anymore. But it allows the students to have some money in their pocket. Grants. Grants are based on need. So for example, we don't make a lot of money. We need financial assistance. This is where grants come in. Whereas scholarships are based on merit and performance. So for a scholarship, I've earned a 3.8 GPA, and I've also done, I'm a part of the debate team. So there's a debate scholarship. So it just depends on merit or performance based, but both of these things, you do not have to pay them back. If you're looking for scholarships, I highly recommend you ask local organizations. You ask your employer. Sometimes corporations will have scholarships. You can ask your place of worship. And then you can also talk to your accountant or someone who you know that gives financial advice about a 529 plan. That's also another way of saving money. For the other platforms that I put pictures up of, there's RaiseMe. RaiseMe is a micro scholarship website, which I have highly encouraged and asked and made the students apply. What RaiseMe does, you follow certain colleges and the colleges that you like based on your fit and based on your academics, your volunteerism, your job, different awards that you receive, the holistic high school experience, the colleges will give students micro scholarships. So for example, a student may be following Bloomfield College. They receive perfect attendance. Bloomfield may end up giving them $50 for getting perfect attendance. Small mini scholarships, it adds up at the end of the day, especially over 4 years. When you apply to the school, you will see that scholarship on a financial aid document. When they're telling you how much money they're going to give you, they're going to show that RaiseMe scholarship that's on there. The beautiful thing about RaiseMe, they do not ask for proof. They follow the honor system. So I ask students to, and a lot of students don't take advantage of it. So it works. There's Niche, there's the College Board. They also have scholarships and FastWeb. All those resources and links will be in your email at the end of the presentation. Financial aid portals. For students who want to receive financial aid, you have to go through the FAFSA. You have to apply each year. FAFSA opens October 1st every year. And this allows the government to see how much money you make and how much money you can afford for the college experience and education. Required documents, you're going to need you and your child's social security number, your driver's license. If you have an alien registration number, you can use that too. But one thing to keep in mind is the 2022 tax returns. So if you want a particular parent to carry, if you want, if you have a crazy situation right now, now is the time to start getting it together and trying to figure it out and work it out, because 2022 tax returns are the tax returns you're going to need to use to apply for FAFSA when it's time for your child to go to college. And they want to know information like how much money do you have in the bank? Do you receive government assistance? One thing, please do not let your child file taxes. Why? They're going to include that to say like, oh, well, they got a job, they file taxes, they can help contribute more money than what you guys really have. Unless your child is making $10,000 or more, do not let them file their taxes, especially for the 2022 year, because it will just slight how much money the schools may actually end up giving you. So after you fill out the FAFSA, it automatically, because you are a New Jersey resident, it shoots your information over to a website called HESA. And HESA provides New Jersey scholarships and grants. Oftentimes, students ignore HESA, and so they miss out on all of the New Jersey money that they can receive to help lower their tuition as well. So once financial aid, you finish FAFSA, the next day, go on the HESA website and register on HESA, because it will have synced your information already. And schools, all the New Jersey schools will know that you apply for FAFSA and that you can get certain scholarship money. Types of loans. They're subsidized, unsubsidized, parent plus loan, and private loans. Subsidized and unsubsidized are federal loans. And right now, the interest rate for these loans is 2.75%. Subsidized means that it's going to wait 6 months after your child has graduated from college to start adding interest to the loan. Unsubsidized means the very first day of college, of school, interest automatically starts to accrue. After the school has recommended scholarships and grants, and then they also offer your child a subsidized or unsubsidized loan, there may still be a balance at the end of the day. They're going to recommend to your child for the parent to take out a parent plus loan. They will only allow you to take out the loan if you are eligible. And eligible just means your credit score is decent. You don't have a bad history of credit. But if you cannot get that parent plus loan, please do your best to avoid private loans. Private loans, the interest rates vary greatly. They're not regulated by the government, so they can do what they want. You cannot consolidate these loans with government loans. And just double check with the institution as well. If they're recommending like, oh yeah, just go on this website and apply for if it doesn't say federal government at the end of it, try it again, because private loans are the things that really get people caught up in you. Interest rates can be crazy. And yeah, you can't consolidate them. So in addition to paying federal loans, you'll also have this one private loan as well. Any questions about loans? We're going to keep going. So understanding the loan. Subsidized means that it's going to wait 6 months after your child has graduated. So just to make math very easy, $3,000 loan, interest 10%. After 4 years, they graduate. The loan is still $3,000. Hasn't been touched. But after 1 year of being in college, this loan has now increased. If they don't pay on it, the loan is now increased to $3,300. Whereas unsubsidized, which means that the moment that they start school, the loan kicks in. After 4 years of being in school, this loan now went from $3,000 to $4,200. If they don't pay on that loan, a year after that, it's going to be $4,500. So let's talk about who can actually receive financial aid from our undocumented families. Just if you know anyone, spread the word. So who can receive financial aid from the government? From the federal government, let me be very specific. From the federal government, it is if you have a social security number or the parent has an individual tax ID number. Also, another way is if the student has a social security number and the parent is a legal citizen and they have a green card with a social security number on it. Families who cannot receive financial aid, the student has a social security number, but the parent does not have a social security number or an individual tax ID number. Also, the student does not have a social security number or the parent doesn't have one. And then to be considered independent, the student has a social security number, but the biological parent does not live in the country. All hope is not lost if you cannot receive federal funding. All schools now have Dreamer support for our Dreamers, and every school is different. So I know like Rutgers University North, they want students to have been in the country for 3 years before they provide that assistance. Whereas schools like Seton Hall, you only have to be in the country for 1 year. Every school varies with their Dreamer policy and what the requirements are for students to have been in the country in order to help them to receive financial aid and funding. Last but not least, if your baby plays a sport, there are sports scholarships. So if they want to go to a Division I school like a Rutgers New Brunswick or a Seton Hall, they sure can. They can receive multi-year scholarships. It helps lower the cost of attendance. And about 57% of athletes at Division I schools receive athletic scholarships. Division II schools, like your Caldwell or your Bloomfield, Division II schools can only give partial scholarships, okay? That's the only thing they can give, partial scholarships. In a Division III school, William Patterson, Montclair State, they cannot offer a child any athletic scholarship, which means if your baby goes to a D3 school, they're going to get a traditional financial aid package. The only thing the coach is going to help them do is to see if there's a grant that they can apply for in those types of instances. The cost of attendance. The cost of attendance breakdown. So when you receive your financial aid statement, right, they're also going to send you the cost of attendance, how much the school costs, to show you like this how much we're giving you and this is how much it costs. Make your decision. The cost of attendance breakdown is going to include tuition, room and board. What room and board means, room is the dorm, board is the meal plan. They're going to include indirect costs like fees, books, depending on the major that your child is in. Large universities sometimes will have hidden fees. But typically, like your nurses, they'll have a fee. Maybe certain science majors will also have a fee. They'll have like a lab fee. And then also they may consider transportation to and from the school. They'll just put that in there to say like, hey, tuition may cost about this much money. The net price calculator. Colleges are required by the federal government to put a net price calculator on their websites. What does this do? It allows you to get a real estimate of how much money the school is going to cost, and based on your situation, how much the school may actually give you in grants. It's best to probably start looking at it now, especially with some of the schools that your baby may be talking about going to, or schools that you may want your baby to go to, just to get, you know, your head around how much this going to cost. Some schools are a little sneaky with how they hide the net price calculator. So you have to look under financial aid tabs or like cost of tuition. They'll word them a little funky, but they all have a net price calculator that they have to have by the federal government. And it only displays the price, cost of attendance for one school year. Just one. So we are going to look at an example of a net price calculator. I don't know why I did that. So the first one we're going to look at is Princeton University, because it is a top college and university, which we would love our scholars to attend. All right, so here we go. Nope, thank you. The cost of attendance for Princeton, they did direct and indirect costs, okay? So the direct costs for Princeton is, with tuition, room and board, it comes up to $71,000. 72 if we round it up. And then they said the indirect costs, meaning the books, the travel expenses, personal expenses, that may end up being about $3,500. So overall, Princeton is saying that their cost of attendance is going to be $75,000. Now, here's the fun part about Princeton. The direct cost is going to be $72,000. They're saying that they will give this scholar whose mother, I made this up, whose mom makes $55,000 and she has 4 children and only one child, which is the senior, is going off to college. The estimated grants that they will give this child is $68,410, which means that they're estimating the bill will be $3,300. I don't know about you guys, but I would do my best to find $3,300 if the original bill was $72. Okay? And so this is what they're saying here would be the exact cost of what an estimated cost of the bill, along with an estimated amount of grants that the child will receive. $3,300. Let's look at William Patterson. William Patterson, just close by, and this is from the academic year of 2018 through 2019. The estimated cost of attendance during that time frame was $28,000. Now, what's under here is the breakdown of how did they get to $28,000. And, you know, there's personal expenses that's in there, so we could cut that out. There's the estimated cost of books, so we could cut that out. So technically, we're looking at maybe about $23,000 for William Patterson. Now, oh man, the estimated, come on, computer. The estimated total of grants that William Patterson plans on giving this same student, $55,000 for kids, is only $6,000. Off of $28,000 tuition, they're only giving $6,000. Okay, so this means that you may have to come out of pocket with $23,000. $23,000 for William Patterson. So I just want us to keep that in mind as we're looking at schools, and the net price calculator may end up being a really good friend. Any questions about financial aid before I move forward? We're almost finished, guys. Okay. Deposits. I know. Even more money. So there's a confirmation deposit, which is due by May 1st. Schools will ask students to pay a fee to confirm that they're actually going to attend their school. This fee is non-refundable, and prices vary based on the institution. Can you get out of paying this fee? Yeah, we can find a way to get out of it as well. Some schools also waive the fees based on financial circumstances. Also, there's housing deposit. If your scholar wants to stay on campus, some schools may automatically put them into housing, whereas others are like, no, we need a confirmation. I know for like a Temple University, their housing, I don't know if it's gotten better, but a long time ago, it wasn't guaranteed that every freshman would have a dorm. That's a problem, which means that it was a fight to the finish to one, get accepted early, and then two, find the money for housing so you can guarantee a dorm room. If not, freshmen had to find a place to stay nearby and then, pay off campus fees. So we have to keep that in mind too. Is housing guaranteed for every freshman? Guess what, y'all? After all this work, your baby is almost out the door. We just have to guarantee that they actually are walking across the stage. So did they meet their high school requirements? To graduate in the state of New Jersey, you need 120 credits. However, to graduate from College Achieve, you need 140 credits. Also, for the state of New Jersey, there is a testing requirement. What does that look like for your child, for your children? The state hasn't given us much information for the class of 2024 yet. However, the traditional way of looking at it was they had to pass NJSLA. If they did not pass NJSLA at any point in time from freshman year up until junior year, then the state said, okay, well, we'll allow them to pass the SAT, the ACT, or the ASVAB, which is the military test, with a certain score. If they still didn't pass it, then they had to do a portfolio process. What did that look like? For math, they had to do several math problems. For English, they had to do, I think, 3 or 4 essays. You mail the packets out to the state, and from there, they mail it back and say that they're good and they're qualified to graduate. There's no state documentation yet for the testing for the class of 2024. As soon as I receive it, you guys will have it along with the scholars. Now, we do have to make sure that we are double checking everything. So before your baby is off, you pack up the car, you get ready to leave, they have to make sure they're checking the portal. There's a student portal that they're always receiving new information. A lot of students miss out on money. They miss out on, last minute details before it's time to go because they do not check their email and they do not check the portal. So financial aid documents are sometimes still requested and they have to fill it out. Last minute housing steps, submitting insurance. If your scholar does not have insurance, the school will add that into the tuition price. If you do have insurance, there's a deadline to submit the insurance information so the school doesn't add it to the tuition. Also, there may be some welcome events. Now, I know it may be hard to let your baby go, but unless they are 17 years old when they reach that college campus, you will not be able to ask the school any information. You will not be able to call the school and find out what's going on with their financial aid, their grades, nothing at all. So my recommendation is to start preparing them now. Start asking them questions. Give them a list of questions that you need answered and tell them when they come back from X, Y, and Z, they need to have answers to all of these questions. This will prepare them to feel independent. It will prepare them to get used to asking the questions on their own. And then also it will help to build the trust to know, like, okay, when they go off to college, I can tell them to ask financially all of these questions and they will get it done. Of course, you can always sit on the phone with them while they're at financial aid and talk to them that way. But if you just call yourself, they will not answer the phone or tell you any information. Are there any questions? That's literally the end of the presentation. I know it was a lot. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. So here are a list of all the resources. I will be sending out an email shortly, so you'll get it within the next hour of everything that we talked about. So if you want to go through a college fit profile, College Board has that. SAT prep, there's Khan Academy, the My Coalition app that I discussed, Raise Me to join the College Achieve Raise Me profile. You can join as a parent. Even for HESA, which is the New Jersey portal, they have a lot of resources for parents, literally an entire tab just for parents. And they give a plethora of information to prepare your scholar for whatever their postgraduate decision may be. So